you need to kind of decide for yourself, even though you may not necessarily know who you are or what you want. Hello.
That reminded me of Cinderella Story. Did you know I was going to say Cinderella Story?
I was going to say Disney Channel, so basically same thing.
Yeah, another Cinderella Story, or the Cinderella Story, the one with Hilary Duff.
Yeah, that's the
where
best
they're
one.
Like,
and Chad Michael Murray.
Who? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Chad Michael Murray. Yeah. When they're doing the synchronized swimming, the evil sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning if you're listening to this in the morning. And welcome to another episode of
Bulgogi
Podcast. Okay, I swear last time I said pod and you said podcast. That's why this time I was like, okay, I'm going to say podcast and you said pod. Okay, you know what? We're going to say now. It's going to be welcome to another episode of Bulgogi Podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Bulgogi Podcast. Actually, should it be pod? I feel like the ring is better on pod,
okay.
You know?
Okay. Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another week.
Yes.
We got some exciting updates for you guys.
Yes.
Some exciting talks in our episode. So,
yes. Yeah. This is... I feel like maybe a little outdated, but a couple weeks ago, it was the Super Bowl. We are from LA.
Go Rams.
Yes, go Rams.
Wow. I honestly wasn't expecting them to win.
No, I was expecting them to
really?
win. Only because I feel like the Bengals, I feel like they're very new.
They are.
Right?
Yeah.
Like underdoggy. I mean, right, they haven't won anything in a really long time. I mean, the Rams had OBJ and after the game. Yeah,
and you're going to be replacing OBJ as receiver back.
Exactly, exactly. And then this Colgie was like, props to Julie for watching the Super Bowl despite her lack of knowledge. LOL. Like, you can't watch a sport when you. And also, I've watched the Super Bowl for the past like 4 or 5 years, like every single Super Bowl. I might not keep up with the season, but I didn't know there was a rule that you couldn't watch the Super Bowl if you didn't know. And it was a mistake. I called it the receiver back. I'm sorry. My goodness. You know what? I better not catch you know who watching figure skating. I bet you can't even name
Kim Yuna.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it correctly.
I corrected someone the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, Kim Yuna, not Yuna.
Yes. But anyway, so I got that and I felt very defensive as soon as I read, I was like, excuse me?
Defense.
But then I remembered I said receiver back. So
yeah.
But anyways, on that Super Bowl Sunday, ran the 5K.
Oh.
It was a great day.
Julia wasn't holding you back this time.
Well, she wasn't, but my time came out pretty similar. I don't know. I did the 5K, but it seemed a bit longer than the Torrance one.
Oh, I see.
Because this one I did was Redondo, but I have a timing problem, a timing issue, so I always do things back to back.
Right.
And so I had to ditch my coworker. So I just like ran on my own.
Wait, and I was wondering who you did the 5K with.
Yeah. So there's a group photo without me with my coworkers because I had to leave right away.
I see.
But if you're curious on what that day looked like, you can go on my TikTok and see my day in the life Super Bowl Sunday. I think it was our first episode this season. I said I wanted to make more TikToks and I'm proud of myself. I think for the past, 2 months, I've posted every single day.
So consistent. Consistency is key.
It is.
But I will say, I think content has been a great motivator to just do things. Like, I literally go out on dates and have my friends spy and all of that because I'm like, content. Should I go on a ski trip with a guy I just met? Content. And so... yeah, I didn't do that because my mom is concerned for me.
Okay.
She was like, Hannah, be careful who you meet online. I'm like, you're right.
Yes.
But yeah, no, for me, it's been good. One of the dates that I actually went on, we picnicked, but the picnic spot was closed.
Okay.
And so...
Can I ask where?
Oh yeah, it was like it's MLK Memorial something. But it's in the... Baldwin Hills, Kenneth Hahn, like recreation park.
Oh, I know where that is.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Even the oil rigs.
But there's like a bunch of, it's like you just said, it has multiple names, right? They're all like within each other or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like the place that we wanted to go to was closed. It was like getting dark. And so we were like, should we just have a street picnic? Like, I don't know if you know this, but
it's a street. Like on the sidewalk, plopped in the middle.
Yep. Exactly.
That's one of my pet peeves. When people are having conversations in the middle of the sidewalk.
We were in the street. Wait, we basically parked. We parked right like next to the sidewalk, and then we picnicked right in front of the car. How ridiculous. We were looking ridiculous, but I will say that is not my first street picnic, because when me, Ali, and Joyce went to San Francisco, the Painted Ladies were closed. Like basically the entire park, like right in front, like it was closed. It was gated off, and so we just had a sidewalk picnic. I think they were doing construction, like
replanting grass or something.
No, literally, I think so. And so so we're sitting there having good combo, and then this lady starts like coming up to us and like taking photos, and then like my date, like of course he's like over here like thumbs up posing, smiling, and we're like, hey, we're just having a little street picnic, like don't mind us. And then she like starts getting different angles, like starts walking around us taking photos, and we're like, do you need something? And she was like, I just can't believe that you guys are having a picnic right in front of my house right now. And I was like, oh, this lady she didn't think this was funny. Like, because we're posing for the photos. Like, okay. I thought it was a joke.
Not that it matters, but like, what was she like? You think like in her 30s and
she was
50s?
Like, she was probably like 50s, like a mom. But like,
that was the first thing she did. Like, why can't, like,
I don't know. It was weird. It was so weird that she was taking all these photos.
Yeah.
And then like, we were like, okay, we'll just clean up. And then it was weird because she just like drove away. I was like, if this is your house, why would you drive away? And so that's literally absolutely. And so we packed up and left, and we were just kind of like, what the fuck was that?
Also, I'm pretty sure
streets are public parking.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say, like
public property.
It's the city's property. It's not the house, because I remember I was talking to my dad about like the water pipes underneath, and I was like, he was telling me how half of the pipe is our responsibility, but the other half of the pipe is like the city's responsibility.
That's funny.
So depending on where you were sitting, it might have not been her property. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so we're like, I mean, what is she gonna do? Like, even if she calls the cops, what are they're just gonna be like, what just are like, you like stop being weird.
Yeah
Exactly.
That's weird.
And so we left, and then I was like, damn, that was so rude. She didn't even airdrop us the photos. And so I think I came back from that date being like, okay, everyone, all my friends who live in Baldwin Hills, please look out for us in Facebook groups and on Nextdoor. Yeah. So normalize airdropping things to strangers.
I think so.
Yeah. Content, baby. Content.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, today's episode, we are going a little younger. We know that we have some corgis that need a little bit of high school, post-high school advice.
I love that. Now that like we've graduated.
Even, my high school reunion, we were gonna do like a 7-year reunion. It's been 7 years since I graduated high school.
Wait, why are you guys having a 7-year reunion? That's so odd.
We were gonna do a 5-year reunion, and then COVID.
Oh,
yeah.
Why 5 years? You guys must really love each other.
I don't know.
And I'm really sad because I don't think we're gonna even have a 10-year reunion, because I think like our president got impeached. Because somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
For what reason? Funny.
I think like attendance. But it's funny because our VP, because I was ASB president, right?
Oh, yes.
So like our the class president does it.
Yeah.
But it was funny because our class VP specifically ran for VP because she did not want to plan the 10-year. But then if the president's gone, then the VP.
Impeached.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh! Wait,
who
that
knows
is
if we'll
so
have
funny.
one? So.
Oh God.
That's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, our fellow Kogi asked us, I'm graduating high school this year, and I don't know what I need to do after high school and after I'm 18.
Oh, I mean, that's a big transition year, I think. I think it's one of the biggest, because you're jumping from like the school system that like you've known your entire life basically into the world.
Yeah. No, but not even. Well, I guess depending on if you go to college or not, but like, because in college, like, yes, that's a huge transition.
Oh yeah.
But after college too, you'll realize that was kind of like a pseudo like fake
You're
4
right.
years, 4 or 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
But going back to what you just said, I was so sad the last couple months of high school because that's exactly what I thought.
Oh.
Like, because, you know, you have friends that, I mean, you were very thankful and happy you were friends with them out of convenience because you see each other every day.
Exactly. Same schedule.
Yeah. So I think just like because, you know, you're probably not going to hit them up or like
hang out outside of classes. Yeah.
So to know that somebody you saw for 4, 7, and then like even if you went to elementary together, right? 12, 13 years in kindergarten, all that.
Yeah.
Somebody you saw for the past 13 years, you're just not going to see them anymore.
Yeah.
I was really sad.
No,
the last couple months.
I think that's why it's really important to like, if you want to keep in touch with these people, you have to start building relationships while you're in school, because, you know, like if class is the only thing that's connecting you guys, then like as soon as that leaves, you're not gonna like, why would you hang out outside? And so I think even like in a college sense, like if you want to be friends with these people outside of class, like you need to be like, oh, do you want to study together? Oh, do you want to grab coffee, like lunch, whatever it is. Yeah. And I guess like to start off, like we need to discuss like if you even want to go to college or not, right? Because this post high school, it's, you know, it's very common nowadays to go to a 2-4 year university, but that's not everyone's route, right? Like people are very successful whether or not they go to college. And so I think like that's the first step. You know, we are coming from a background of like college being the route. Like we both knew from preschool that we were gonna go to college. Literally
before birth, when I was in my mom's tummy, I knew.
Yes, in the womb. And so I think that, you know, we obviously have like this one perspective, but there are people who like they go to college and what, like they're like, this isn't it, like I know that I could be doing something else, like I just want to get started on my life now, like I want to start my own business. But I think like at least for me, like it was definitely a time of like I need to grow as a human being. Like I don't know what life is about, like I don't know what I like even, because like we only knew one thing like growing up, and that was school. Like that's literally I think why I didn't even date in high school. I wasn't focused on that. Like I was very one track minded, very career, like professionally, academically focused. So I think like, you know, you need to kind of decide for yourself, even though you may not necessarily know who you are or what you want.
Well, and I think I love what you said, because I think it's okay to not know when you're 18. Right?
Yeah.
And to your point, that's what I used college for anyways. Yeah. To figure out. It's almost like, I want to say you're like buying yourself some time.
No, it is.
Right? Yeah, you're buying yourself some time. And at least for me, like, if I could do this again, I would go to college again. Like the option, I would not choose to not attend college, because for me, this was when I learned so much about the world. Because if you follow the logic of, you know, you are the average of 5 around you, I just realized there are so many different types of people out there in the world. And I was truly living in a bubble within the bubble growing up. Oh,
interesting.
Like I was just so, like not in a bad way.
Right.
But I just learned so much about people and their behaviors. And even just like, I went to school on the East Coast, and going to school on the East Coast was a culture shock. Even though this is all the same US, it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned was, you know why like New York is so hustle is because I think they work so hard. I used to think they work hard to play hard, but I think it's the opposite. They play hard because they work so hard. Like people are on the grind. Yeah. And I also learned in college, like, oh, if you play hard, then you must not work hard. But then I met so many people that did both, and I was just like, a new level of motivation.
Right.
And so, and just tagging onto that too, like, you know, all those people that were kind of more like, they didn't really study, they didn't take, you know, honors. Not that I judge them, but I was like, oh, I wonder where they'll go to school. And I think, you know, a good chunk of them did really well for themselves after attending junior college and then making it into like the UC system. Right. So it's so context dependent. Like you're either the type that knows what you want to major in, and so you pursue that, get the degree,
right?
Or you go to a junior college and then you're like, okay, let me buy myself some time, let me work a bit, and then transfer into school,
right?
Or like you said, I already know for what I want to do, what I'm passionate about, I don't need a degree. Right. Like, yeah, like maybe you are so artistically or whatever, Twitch stream, cooking, like you have a like passion you're great at.
Exactly.
And it doesn't really require a degree. And then you pursue that right out of college or right out of high school.
Right.
Yeah. Conclusion for that is it's just truly context dependent.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to not know.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you just put your all into it. Because on the flip side, okay, and I'll elaborate on putting your all into it a bit later, because I'll also elaborate that I know a couple people that they worked really hard in high school, went to college, and to my surprise, dropped out. Right? And they don't work a corporate job, and I think they're still trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
But also on that flip side, I know a couple people that dropped out of college and are successful business owners and CEOs. So each story is so different. I just feel like you have to be true to yourself, right? Like, why are you going to college?
Right.
Well, sure, I think for us, there is some type of pressure, like from our families,
exactly.
Like, no, that's you. You're definitely going to college.
Yeah.
But then I think we found meaning, like that was like a little push per se. And then we found our own meanings within that.
Yes.
But if you're unable to do that, then I think you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think like one other factor to consider is like, you know, I have some friends who they decided like college wasn't for them, right? And we were off at university, and almost everyone else in our group were, you know, we're off at a 4-year university. And I think that there can be a sense of like FOMO when you're still back at home in the same place, like kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But then all your friends are gone, like having this like big experience. But I think like at that time, like again, be true to yourself. Like ask yourself, like, do I want to pursue this like junior college route only because of the FOMO? Like just because like I feel like I'm missing out on this like life experience? Or is it because like you actually like have passions that you want to pursue? And so I think that's also like something to take into consideration when deciding if college is right for you. Like it really is not right for everyone. And like I think it's even so common in like the UK, for example, like where I studied abroad, for people to take gap years, like 1-2 years. And I know that that's like, you know, it can be kind of taboo in our sense, but like I think it's a good time to like really sit down and like figure out the reasons why you're doing things. Again, intentions, you know, from our first episode of the season. But like, yeah, like ask yourself and be true. Like, hey, like, do I need a gap year? Like, do I need time to like figure stuff out before I like head off into this like big world that I'm not used to?
Yeah. And you know, I had classmates that were much older than me. Yeah. And good for them. Like, and I think there were probably like some part-time students. And so touching back on like doing things with intention, right? And doing your best. You know, I think in the era we live in, it just seems like, okay, like for example, even my TikToks, right? Like my day in a life, you're only seeing literally 1.5 to 2 seconds of everything I do in the day, right?
Right.
And so I think, and those are just mine. And so when you see other influencers, like I'm not an influencer, like a real influencer, and you see like their hauls or their elaborate lifestyles of like flying in private jets and, you know, getting free PR from like these big luxury brands, like I'm sure it wasn't just handed to them, right?
Yeah.
Like they built a brand for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when people are, especially Gen Z, is like, oh, I don't want to go to college because this is like, I want to live this bougie lifestyle.
Right.
It's like, you need, like, it seems so easy to achieve that. But in that too, there is so much that you don't see, like effort wise, that goes into making these videos. Yeah. That goes into making this lookbook or just whatever you're posting on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So in whatever you do, I guess it goes back to the gratitude thing. Like be thankful, like, in what you're able to do, the opportunities that you have to be able to do it.
Yeah. Right? No, exactly. Like we don't see any of the behind the scenes, and it seems easy to like be a content creator, to be a YouTuber, but like editing, nightmare. Most people, nightmare. Like don't like it. And so I think that like respect to people who have been able to like grind, find their hustle, and like just like make the life for themselves that they want. Like I think that's like one of my big things is like make a life for yourself that you're proud of. Yeah. And you know, you don't want to like look back and be like, oh, I wish I did this. Like I wish I had just took action.
Yeah. And actually, I think a very fitting story. So my CEO, he went to university and he dropped out. And I mean, now he is, we're a Series B company, like raised millions of dollars in funding. And so he was able to buy himself a very nice home in Venice, right? And this is all public information. But
give me his address right now.
But you could probably find it online. But I know it took him years. Like, I know he shares a story of how he like lived in a 1-bedroom with our CPO. Like, you don't just become a billionaire like overnight. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, yeah.
This was a years making in process. Like years.
Yeah.
So why I bring this up is like, if you don't go the traditional college route and you decide to start up your own thing, just know that it might not just take off right away.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of entrepreneurs, like, they fail 4 or 5 times before they find the one thing that hits.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in terms of like things not hitting, I think that like for me, after I decided to go to college, I did not know what the heck I wanted to do. I was literally in between going the pre-med, doctor route, and business, which is like so different. And like, obviously I ended up in marketing. And so like, can you imagine me as a doctor? I can, but but it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And so,
if you could be a doctor, what doctor do you think you would be?
I think you can guess it.
Okay, I'm thinking of 2 because I think there would only be 2 I'd be interested in.
Okay.
Derm and derm and plastics.
Oh, I didn't have a second.
Yeah,
derm and plastics.
That's all I would want to do. Derm and plastics.
Okay.
But okay, so
yeah, and so like even when I was going to college,
it's
like,
not too late. It's not too late.
You know what's crazy is like literally during the pandemic when I was questioning my entire life, I was like, should I go to med school?
Wait, I remember you were also, and you guys were talking about college, but look, we're still talking. We're like
I'm still confused. I'm still confused, guys.
We're just gonna go into like law too.
Oh, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Like that was on the table. And UX, UI. There were so many. You guys maybe what teacher, counselor? Wasn't that one?
Therapist.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm still like working through that, but I think it's normal to be confused. And like,
for sure.
I think that a lot of times like there is this like taboo as to like, oh, you shouldn't change majors all the time. Like you should know what you want to do, like just stick with it. But I think it's a good opportunity to just kind of explore, like, you know, like college is a closed environment. Like it's kind of like internships, right? Like it's like a test run, like a trial run. And so like you don't need to be 100% committed, but I think like, like try to focus on things that like, you know, maybe aren't super duper like money oriented, right? Because a lot of times like your passion won't be there, like it'll slip, like you just don't care about it.
I think something to really pick my parents' brains when we'd have these conversations and get them to like understand me, what I would say is, if you're good and passionate about something, the money is to follow. Like the money's gonna follow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I don't know why I always use underwater basket weaving. I think it started in high school where our teachers would always use that as a funny example. But if you are a pro and so good at that, I could totally imagine somebody underwater basket weaving and put making TikToks on that and like blowing up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If you're good at something, if you're passionate about something, I'm sure you'll practice and you'll eventually be extremely good at it. And if you're extremely good at it, trust me, I think the world is going to follow and notice you. And that's like the money follows, right?
Absolutely.
And if there's somebody who can speak about changing majors all the time, that is definitely me. Like I literally would walk into my counselor's office and every single time he would just be like, all right, what do you want to be now? Like literally the opening. Okay. All right. So what now? So what now? Because I too, for a little bit, like very, very little bit pre-med, right? I mean, you guys, for a part of for a part of college, like I thought I wanted to be an anthropologist.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Let me just explain the reasoning behind that. I knew going before college very vaguely, I wanted to interact with a lot of people. Yeah. That was it. The only thing I knew I wanted to do was interact with a lot of people. And I just wanted to dive in and learn about different cultures. Oh. And tying that into more like research and I guess like epidemiology. Like I wanted to do research on like let's say Korea, like because of the Korean genes or the land that we live on, like certain diseases are more susceptible to the Korean culture like in the foods that we eat. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then like do like another, like, you know, like I wanted to interact with not the same 3-4 teammates all the time.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, that's what I wanted to do, you guys. And then the major I really thought seriously about was accounting. Like I was about to go into accounting.
Can you imagine Julie in a cubicle just like on QuickBooks?
I know. Like, oh my gosh, thank the Lord. Like I was so serious. And that is because so many of my close circle were like business. Like Dijung was our guest from last 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Like he was a business major. So were all my other housemates. And so I almost did that. And then I almost did IT. Very, very brief.
I did not know this.
Yeah, very, very brief. And then I majored in human development and family sciences. And the reasoning behind that was because I wanted to work for a company whose product was for family and children. So Disney, toys. Like toys, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. Because at this point, like junior year, actually no, I switched sophomore year, but I knew I wanted to be back in LA. Oh. And that's why I was like, okay, if I'm going to be in LA, I feel like I need to do something more like in the entertainment, not like actual entertainment,
right?
But company wise.
Right.
Ooh, that was a mouthful.
Oh gosh, yeah. So if you guys can't tell, we are both, we just hopped around, and I'm still hopping around. Like I'm still exploring, and I think like that's one of the biggest things is like don't beat yourself up for not knowing. Like I think that like a lot of times like I tend to judge my feelings. Like I'm like, why am I like this? Why am I confused? But like that just adds on. Like it basically like reinforces like the cyclical aspect of it. And so it's just like no, it's fine. Like everyone is confused. Like people have career changes all the time, like in their 50s.
Exactly. And I mean, look at us now. Am I working for Walt Disney? No, I'm not. I'm in recruiting. Like I'm in recruiting. And I think when I first went into like HR or like the people aspect, like I felt so at home because I feel like when I first told you guys I was going into HR, I feel like all of my friends and family were like, that is so you.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up here on a whim.
Oh.
Do you remember my story? So you guys, I applied to a job thinking it was in my hometown, but it was a staffing company that was staffing for a company in Beverly Hills. Oh. So my first year of work, you guys, I commuted an hour, 15 going to work. And I guess what I want to say about that is at my school, there was no HR major. I mean, yeah, there was no recruiting major. I don't even know if there's a recruiting major like anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I know a lot, at least for me, like there are a lot of people that come from various backgrounds. Like people I work with had journalism majors, had probably more aligned with business.
Right.
But even then, like, I don't think you have to fit like a specific box to be good at recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So then that made me think we go to college and we just feel like our options are the majors that are available to us. But the thing is, there are so many occupations in the world that we're not even aware of.
It's like you don't know what you don't know.
So that's just kind of what I want to say. Like you may be so confused now, but trust me, I think there are don't feel limited because of what you know.
Yeah.
Like the route isn't English literature major, like all the business ones, biology, chem, the medicine route, or like public relations, poli-sci.
Right.
Like there is so much more. There's just so much more to that.
Right. Which I think can be even more intimidating. And so if you guys are confused, you just have to start narrowing down from somewhere. And so you guys can go listen to I Don't Know What to Do With My Life featuring Grace H. Park. She's from Spill the Beans. And like, a lot of people go through that like career like freak out where they're like, I truly have so many options. Like I feel paralyzed. And so you have to start somewhere. And like, I think the biggest thing to do is like, just ask people like, do you like your job? What don't you like about your job?
I love that.
Is there work-life balance? Like all those important questions just to kind of narrow it down.
So then when it comes to career, I feel like I have two major just points I want to share. You just got to try it, right?
Yes.
Like if you are, because okay, you might go into something being like, oh, I'm absolutely going to dislike that. Well, maybe you try it and you actually like it. Or maybe you trying it out would lead you to what you're actually good at just by exposure. right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there are a lot of bad bosses out there, but there are also really good bosses out there. And if you just share with them like, oh, I wouldn't want to do this long term. I think I'm interested in this. Like, I'm sure they'll help you pave the path, like, to get to that department within the company if they offer it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think don't let fear stop you.
Yeah, because I think it's really scary to like, you feel like maybe you're hopping around or whatever it is, but like this is the time that you need to hop around. Like if you're gonna hop around at any time, like it's better, you know? Like I think everyone, even like higher up, like mentors, your bosses, like they were in your shoes at one point. Like they were so confused, and then they eventually probably had another mentor who like led them, who like helped them pave the path. And so like, you know, it's kind of like passing it on. What is it?
Passing the stick. Assembly line?
No, like pay it forward. It's like paying it forward. You know, like somebody pays for your Starbucks drink, so you pay for the person behind you. Like when you feel like you're getting mentorship from somebody, like you want to pass that on. And so I also encourage you guys to like, you know, like it's kind of intimidating to try to find a mentor, and like you shouldn't even like think about it in that sense. But I think if you kind of like shift your mindset and be like, no, I just like want somebody who like maybe is kind of similar to me, who like is probably or was probably just as confused as I am, to just like be like, what did you do? Like, what would you do in this situation? I think it's helpful.
Yes, and that brings me to my point 2. So point 1 was don't let fear stop you, right? So just try it out. But point number 2, you have to be able to differentiate, because like both of us, I think we're talented in many things.
Right. Like you can learn on the job, honestly. It comes down to your personality.
So with that being said, you need to be able to differentiate what you want to do as a hobby for the rest of your life and what you actually want to do as a career.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I feel like in the way we differ, right, is for me, I just want to know the answer. Right. I just want to try it out to see if like I would like it or not, right? That's actually how I ended up in my current job too. Like I think for the long term, being so type A, I was like, oh, it's probably good to know a bit about recruiting. But you know what? I think I like it a lot more than the HR functions that I've experienced. Right? And so I think a lot of the times people procrastinate and push off what they want to do because they're so unsure, right?
Right.
Sometimes I imagine, oh, what would life be if I was making money from grabbing coffee in the morning and shopping and showing my haul? And sometimes I imagine that. Right. But I know, at least for me, for now, like I just don't think that's what I want to do career-wise.
Right.
Right. So I've identified that as a hobby.
Yes.
Right. So you just need to be true with yourself, because like to you, like what matters? Right. Like you just have to be able, and our values are all so very different. At least for me, like you just have to be able to identify, be true to yourself. Like don't lie, like just, you know, like talk to yourself. Like, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Right.
And what are the pros and cons of doing it?
Yeah.
And then if it's not what you think is gonna be sustainable, it's gonna be a hobby.
Right. Also in terms of like narrowing down, it's really, really beneficial that like, you know, the people around you were like, I can totally see you in recruiting. Like, I think it's really good to ask the close friends around you, like, what am I good at? Like, what do you think I should go into? Because maybe they know about a career that you don't even know of, right? Because like how I ended up in media was so random. Like advertising was so random. Like I literally went to an event with Joyce where they were just like talking about like being an Asian American in the industry. And I was like, these people are so cool. They're so passionate. I feel like there's like actual change that you can make, and like media is so huge in New York and, you know, kind of in LA, but like in general, like I don't know how the heck I ended up there, but I know that like even though, you know, that's not where I'm going to end up long term, it was good for me. Like I learned so much. And so I also think that like it's important to remember that like, you know, this can just be a stepping stone.
Exactly.
Right? Like I think that's why internships are so important. Like I think it, you know, I was required to have an internship sophomore year. That's so early, but I think it like started the, you know, the trajectory of me like getting internships just to figure out like, do I like this or not? Right? Like I thought I wanted to go into entertainment. No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And can I share too, like the internship portion too, I feel like can be a stressful process when you're in college. That too, you have to work for it.
How many did you apply to?
I applied to more than 80 for one summer, heard back from like 10, 5 were no's, and like 5 were probably like, yeah, let's hop on a call, but 3 were in locations I didn't want to be in. God. Right? So I was really banking on
too.
Literally, right? Oh my God. And even for my job change, like last year, I was addicted to LinkedIn. I don't think I checked Instagram. Like I woke up and the first thing I did was just check LinkedIn.
Oh my God.
Like it was so unhealthy. It was getting kind of unhealthy. So now I'm just, never looking at that on my phone. But this goes back to like one of the initial points we had in the first part of this podcast. Like everything you do, it can be the traditional route or not. You just have to do it with consistency and passion and drive. And then you'll get there.
Yeah.
To wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, like a side comment I want to make is like, I know that this episode is like oriented around career stuff and like what you want to do professionally. But I also think that like it's important to check with yourself, like, what do you want a job to be? Because like, work becomes work in any sense. Like if you make a hobby your job, like it's gonna become work. But I think like a recent idea that I've been reflecting on is like, I don't want work to be my life. Like I think like my dad, for example, he has like really put a lot of like his self-worth into his work, right? Like he is a business owner and a CEO and a founder. But I think that like he's struggling because he started to realize like, you know what, like I'm getting towards retirement age and like I don't know who I am without my work. And so like I'm realizing, a bit earlier through his like, teachings and like what he talks about that like I don't want my career to be my identity. This is just a part of it. Yeah. Like it's simply what I do for income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I feel like I always knew that about you. Like I feel like your current job is so perfect. Like you're such a social being that I feel like the flexibility and autonomy in your current role is just perfect for you. Absolutely. And I feel like that's what you were seeking for a very long time. Yeah. Whereas I kind of like it to be a bit structured. But like I said, everyone is just so different. Like and I'm going to say TikTok can be, right? Like not toxic, but just the grass is greener on the other side. And so once in a while when I do see people just saying, you know what, I'm fine working a 9 to 5, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, go you. Yeah. Like, because there are more people, let's be honest, who work a 9 to 5 than startup, random hours, get to go grocery shopping in the middle of the day type of job people. Right. So...
Yeah. So I think that's also another thing to narrow down. Cause like, recently, like obviously like when I hang out with my friends, like we talk about work and a lot of people like really hate their job. Like they really freaking hate it. They hate their 9 to 5. But I think that like, also keeping a positive attitude is like really important because like not everyone hates their job. Like you love your job and you work, kind of insane hours.
But I will say it took me, you guys, I only graduated 3 years ago, but it took me 2 jobs before this job to get here is what I also want to say, right? Yeah. You know how much I struggled all of 2021, basically. Yeah. Right. In the end of 2020. Yeah. Like, so I'm not just saying I was like magically graduated and then ended up here where I am. Right. Yeah. You gotta... I was on the complete other side of the spectrum.
JJ went through it, and I feel like I really went through it with her because, like we said in Dijung's episode, when one part of your life isn't going well, it spreads. It spreads like wildfire, and so I could tell it was, affecting you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier now though, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you wouldn't know happy if you weren't so sad.
Yes, exactly. So like, I hope this provides like clarity to those confused, because I'm just going to say life is so like, I mean, it is cyclical, right? It's cyclical. It's a roller coaster. Yeah. I think you just have to embrace, accept, and be like happy that this is like my life. Yeah. Don't compare it. Like comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. Just do you. Yeah. You know? Be present in the moment and know that everything happens for a reason. Like truly, like you will get there eventually. And like, we have plenty of time. Like make sure that like, you're not freaking out and being like, I'm old. I'm not in my youth, because you have plenty of time. Like I said, 50-year-olds don't know what they're doing, but you know, like, just make sure that like, on top of all the stress, that you're not judging yourself. It just makes it so much worse. And I think when I was 18, it was hard for me to see it this way, but like you have so much of your life ahead of you.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to another week. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at bulgogi.podcast, on Twitter at bulgogipodcast, me on Instagram at HANAKATTT,
and me at BEJULIFIED.
Okay.
Yay.
1, 2, 3. Ooh.
great. Amazing.
Yay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.